A cafe conversation. A cafe conversation. It's a cafe conversation in the ladies' room. 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 A cafe conversation in the ladies' room.
Good evening and welcome to Cafe Conversations. It's Thursday night and I am so excited because I have been working and working and working and looking forward to getting back in the cafe so that I could just have some conversation with my friends, talk about some things that's just been on my mind. And I really want to know if y'all are feeling like I'm feeling.
Well, first of all, you have not been working and working and working because I think somebody just came back from Puerto Rico.
I wasn't supposed to tell
Yeah,
everybody
I'm gonna
that.
tell. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
well, okay, all right.
We're gonna blow that up right now.
Yes, Puerto Rico for 5 days, 92-degree weather. Okay, glorious sunsets and sunrises. Okay, and even though it rained every day for 2 hours at the same time, it was just as beautiful during the rainstorms as it was, without it. I mean, if you haven't been, you need to go. You absolutely need to go because it's just, you know, Clover, no. Clover, no, right, Clover?
Absolutely. Puerto Rico is breathtaking. I love
Yes,
it. Yeah.
absolutely. And it was gorgeous. We went to the El Yunque rainforest and we saw like the natural water slide and I
Did you
saw
go on that?
no,
Oh,
no. I said I was admiring the beauty. I
oh,
didn't say
okay.
I was crazy enough to slide down the slide. I
Oh,
just wanted to talk about how beautiful it was.
just thought I'd
But
ask.
yeah, but I had a great time. It was much needed and everything, and I didn't want to come back, but fortunately enough, I came back home to those who were waiting with open arms for me. And so I'm here. So welcome back to the cafe, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. We got a good show for you. I think we're going to talk about something that a lot of people might be. I mean, I know I've been thinking about it.
Mm.
And tonight's show, okay, is called Missing Pieces, Our Society's Incomplete Response to Crime. So I'm sure people like missing pieces. What do you mean by missing pieces? Well, we all know that, first of all, criminology is the study of crime and the causes of crime related to biology, psychology, and social factors like socioeconomic status and so on and so forth. Right? So, I just want to put one question out there because I don't want to talk too much. I want to know what y'all think before I give my opinion. Okay? And my question is this: does society drop the ball when addressing the issues of crime prevention, and or punishment?
I'm gonna let Miss Perez start off.
Go ahead, Miss Perez.
Oh, yeah. Turn it over to me.
Go
Well,
for
thank
it.
you guys for having me. It's wonderful just to share this hour with you guys in the cafe. So yeah, Sharice, to answer your question, absolutely, I believe that. I believe society have definitely dropped the ball. This country is extreme when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to mass incarceration, especially people of color, our black and brown people,
Mm-hmm.
in zip codes where most of us black and brown people live. That's where you find a community that has, some really, really high rates of, incarceration. So definitely, I do believe that they have dropped the ball on that.
Gotcha. How about you, Mr. Ford?
I always wonder with our criminal justice system, what is the purpose? Is the purpose punishment or is the purpose rehabilitation? And if it is in fact rehabilitation, let's say let's say that they do a decent job rehabilitating. Then when they release the person from prison, what are they releasing them to? Abject poverty, um,
Mm-hmm.
rules and regulations that will land them back into the criminal justice system. So
Agree.
I think that the whole system needs an overhaul. It needs a little bit of compassion
Mm-hmm.
because as times get even more difficult, you're going to find more and more people in the grips of some criminality according to what society says is criminal behavior.
I think for me, one of the things that bother me the most is there a way to prevent the criminal acts that people are, engaging in by addressing the issues that some of them, I'm not saying everyone, because there are people who just commit crimes just because it's fun, you know? But I do believe that there are people who commit crimes because of their circumstances. Society has put them in a place where they're unable to, I guess, at this point, manage, their well being. So they kind of feel like they don't have any other choice. Not saying if it's right or wrong, just saying what possibly could be. Henceforth, let's give a perfect example. You take a mother who has multiple children, or maybe even one child, might have lost her job. She's a single parent, unable to work because she has to take care of this baby. So she's not making any money, but she still has to feed herself and that child, you know. Um, there may be cases where that mother will steal um, possibly milk or formula or diapers or whatever's needed to take care of that baby. Should that particular crime be treated the same as somebody who's holding someone else at gunpoint? You know what I'm saying? And for no reason killing someone just for sport.
Well, one is a felony, one is a misdemeanor, and we should treat them differently. But I want to introduce your audience to a pair of brothers.
Okay.
What I call it's the Eid brothers.
Okay.
Need and
Mm-hmm.
greed.
Mm.
There's some people that commit crimes because of need, like you were talking about. Their socioeconomic condition is piss poor. They are the working poor. They're out there trying to earn a good living, but they can't. If they were previously incarcerated, then you got organizations that do not wish to give them a job. So what are these people? That's where need comes in. But there's another category of people you talked about having committing crimes for fun that commit crimes because of greed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my example is look at all the rioters that go out there. You're gonna tell me they need those 65-inch televisions that they're loading on their backs? They don't need it, but greed comes into play. So I think we have two different elements that we have to deal with. And I think when someone's committing a crime because of need, be it what we think is a need or what they think is a need, which could be very different because we have different barometers of what need is.
True.
So we've got to we've got to have a little more compassion in it. Miss
Yeah.
Perez.
Yeah, well, yeah, I do agree with what you said, Vincent. I think that you have to take into consideration the social economic part of that when you speak about the needs and you speak about greed. So I will say this, that for years and centuries, I should say, you have black and brown community of that always feel like they are left behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are the forgotten population. And in order for them to, well, they feel that in order for them to be able to have more, and to survive and to have a normal lifestyle, quote, what of a Caucasian person standard of living, again, they would do things, they would steal and, to get those things. So I think that it goes back again to the fairness of everything and how everyone is treated, and and not everyone is treated equally. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that if everyone was treated equally, then that would not be a problem. Do I believe that someone is, as you know, to piggyback on what Cherie said, do I believe that someone is criminal minded? I don't necessarily believe that. I don't believe anyone was born a criminal. I think that for someone for to put a label on that as is criminal minded is not correct. I think that for a person that constantly commits some type of crime, that person is sick. That's a sick individual, right? So, you know, and you also have another part, which is like you said, mothers who do not have the money to take care of their children. You have even mothers. You may see a mother that, I think I said this before, that may go into the train and jump this turnstile
Right.
because why? She doesn't have the money to pay for her car fare to go on a job interview. And now that person is caught, arrested, and thrown into prison. Instead of the system get involved and say, okay, why did you do this? Listen to the story, but but we know that prison is all about money making. So money making
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
machine, put it this way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just all about money making. So they're not concerned about situations that a person may have that lead to a crime. They're more concerned
Excuse me.
about, you know, putting someone in prison so they can get paid for that, and that's it. That's the concern. And then when you come out of prison, you come out of prison with no rehabilitation, because prison is not about that.
Right.
Absolutely.
There's no rehabilitation. You have someone that may have committed just that one crime, right? And go into prison, do not have a support system. And then what does that person do? And that person's hungry. They start stealing things from the kitchen. They start stealing eggs from the kitchen to sell. They start stealing vegetables from the kitchen to sell. Then now that person becomes what? A thief. You
Right.
understand me?
Right.
So it puts them in a place that is so arduous, you know, that
Mm.
they now are doing other things that normally they would not have done on the outside. So
Right.
it's, I think it's just a setup. I think there need to be alternative means of incarceration. I don't think it's just necessary that you just
Get
put
thrown
someone
into
in prison just
prison.
like that without checking out their background and see what may have led to them committing that crime.
I agree. And it concerns me that we're not talking about mental health services for people who commit crimes as much as we're talking about locking them up and incarceration and how long they should be there, and if they should get the death penalty or not. I think we, like I said, dropped the ball, and we're missing a whole piece to the puzzle when we're talking about you know someone's so-called criminal background.
Hmm.
you know um and it bothers me that many times you're labeled a criminal just because you're hungry, but no one, when you get arrested, will go, well, why did you, or they'll ask, why did you steal? But when you say because I was hungry, it's not enough that you're telling the truth that you're hungry. It had to be some other ulterior motive. It had to be some other reason why you did it. You
Correct.
know? It,
Correct. You have, for example, you have a lot of people that's on the street right now that are homeless, right?
mm-hmm.
And they walking around, they may come up to your car and they may ask you for a few dollars. You know, some of them are really homeless. You know, you may have someone that, some of them that may not be, but that's just a scam or a way to get money, right? But there's some that's really desperately in need. And if they don't get any form of money from someone, say someone is kind enough to say, okay, here's a few dollars to get something to eat, and you're hungry, you feel like you're about to pass out, you know, you just having these aches in your stomach because you're really really hungry. You see a fruit stand on the street, you ask the person, the vendor, who can I have a fruit, and they said no. You're hungry, what's going to happen? You're going to snatch that fruit, right? And take that fruit because you, at that moment, you're not thinking about that you're committed a crime, you're not thinking that you're going to go to prison, you're thinking about that
Survival.
need,
Mm-hmm.
right? that
Mm-hmm.
need right now to take care of that need, which is to feed your hunger. And that's basically how it is.
You know, it goes back to the old days of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When you need to have food and shelter, you're going to do whatever you need to do in order to get that food and shelter. Some
Right.
people, unfortunately, if they don't become thieves, they become drug dealers
Mm.
because that's another quick way for them to earn money because the regular society won't give them a job so that they can earn a living. Or if they do get a job, it's at such low pay that by the time they take Social Security, state and local taxes, federal taxes out, you're left with next to absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
You
Yes.
know? So, what do we expect? And then you have people that are sitting in judgment of them who say, well, why don't they just get another job? They should just work and they could pull themselves up by their bootstraps. My grandfather came over here on the Lusitania and he's, oh, give me a break. You know? It's such an insane system that we have put together that we don't have compassion, that we don't look at why someone committed a crime or, God forbid, why someone was accused of a crime that they didn't do and now they're in prison anyway.
Yeah. And there's a
True.
lot of those, there's a lot of people that right now are, on death row for crimes that they did not commit, but are in states, that the governors refused to, to pardon them.
Texas.
It's like that. So it's a sad situation. I just think that this country will better serve its citizen if they would put more money into schooling, education, because they do put more money into prisons than they do in education. And I think that, the crime, the populations of people that's committing crime would be very, very low. It would be a turnaround. But they're not concerned about that, again, because it's all about lacing someone's pocket. And that is exactly what the prison system is all about.
Yeah, I think it's also sad too that we're more concerned with how long we can lock someone up as opposed to let me sit this person down with a counselor and see what kind of resources I can offer them. You know, let's talk about rehabilitation, as
Hmm.
opposed to just locking them up, locking them away, picking them out of society as if they're like bad seeds. Because sometimes they're not bad seeds, they're just in bad situations, as we've already said. But I and it's trickling down from adults to our children. So earlier today, I was watching the news. I don't remember what station I was watching. I'm sorry, but there was a story on about a young lady who fit the description of a bully, and the officials came and roughed her up and threw her into the back of the police car and all like that to find out it was the wrong child
Yep.
because she fit a description.
Mm.
But there was no apology, there was no remorse for, what you just did to this child, to have her feel like now there's something wrong with her, or she's an outcast, or just the simple fact that now she's going to go back to school and they probably will bully her because of what happened to her.
Yeah.
But our children are being manhandled as if they're adults. There's no conversation anymore. It's just they're out of control. They're unable to be spoken to. They're unable to functionally exist
Mm-hmm.
in this society the way we want it to be. And because they have a different verbiage or a different attitude towards something, or they see life differently than we saw it because we're in two different generations,
Hmm.
now they're outcasts, and we're gonna treat them as if they're a problem.
Well, I think Clover could speak to this also, the issue of the school to prison pipeline.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And here's the thing. That's what we need as parents. I fault the parents as well, because I was very, very involved with my kids when they went to school, when they were
Mhm.
in school, I should say. Very, very much involved. First of all, I need to know who their teachers were. I need to know all about their classes, their homeworks. And sometimes, even when they came home and did not have any homeworks, I reached out to the teachers because I wanted to know why they weren't given any homework, right? So, and I think that parents are, because they are so busy, and they feel that they don't have to be involved with the child. And sometimes even, a child may be going through something, they myriads of different things that they may be going through, and the school or the social worker may label them as just a bad kid, right?
Mhm.
And instead of not, finding out exactly what is going on, what do? They report them to the precinct or whatever the case may
Mhm.
be. The
And get
court comes in and everything, and that's where the school to prison pipeline trickles down, and you have kids in juvenile detention centers. But again, how many kids that's in the juvenile center, or how many folks are in prison that fits that description, as Sharice spoke about? How many of us? There's so many of us, and that's why I believe that as you try to reform the criminal justice system, you also have to reform the police. Also, the police departments need to have a training to deal with the children that's this generation, right, and
Mhm.
also to deal with people in general,
Mhm.
and just not automatically just label them because they fit a description, or they look, because they have their pants hanging down, they look like they're a criminal and things like that. They need to also change the way they think, the way they look
Yes.
at
Agreed.
people in general, and I believe that if that is implemented, some type of training for the police department, if that is implemented, I think that it will also cut down on mass incarceration.
Do you think police should be trained in mental health, um, like mental health assessment and things like that also?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't believe that problems like mental illness, substance abuse disorder, homelessness have any place in the criminal justice system at all. I don't believe that. So yes, I believe that they need to be trained. They need to be trained overall. There's an overall training that they need to go through. To see when not only mental illness, to see when someone is on substance
Mhm.
abuse, to
Mhm.
see when someone may just be going through something, and have someone there just to talk to them. I think that should also be in place. As far as the criminal justice system between the federal and the state, I believe that before someone is being sentenced, you have for the federal is the pre-sentencing report, for the state is the probation report. I think that it needs to be an outsider as well that do that present the court with their own pre-sentence report as well, because what I know for sure is that the probation department or the federal department, they use their internal staff. They're extracting things from your report, your indictment. They're not speaking to family members, they're not
Right.
speaking to the community, they're not speaking to friends to find out, what is going on, what may have led this person to commit this crime. They're not speaking to anyone, and that information should be in place to give both by the federal and by the state to the judge, so he can be more informed before he issue a sentence.
I couldn't agree with you more because I've seen some of those pre-sentence documents that they put together, and it's ludicrous because you're right, it's done from one perspective. But I want to take this a step further, Clover, because you spoke, I think, eloquently about the issues in the police department. But I want to take it the other side of the coin. Other side of the coin is the district attorney's office, because they oftentimes are the ones that determine what I'm going to charge this individual with, and that's where some of the disparate sentences, not sentences, charges come up, because they'll charge a Caucasian with a lower criminal offense, and they'll charge a person of color with a higher one. So it's something that we have to do with the district attorney's office also, because they are the ones that can really make a difference in how you are going to court.
But how do we even
Absolutely.
begin?
Absolutely.
How do we even begin to get into those spaces? How do we get a seat at the table to have this conversation with those people to start to change their thought process?
I
Well,
have an
you know
idea.
what?
It's an elected position.
It is, but also you have to look at where we at right now in comparison to where we was at probably 10, 15 years ago. So
Okay.
we know that black and brown people are disappropriately sentenced much higher than their white counterpart, right? I
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
can speak for myself with my case. There were many people that I came across while I was incarcerated that were charged for the same exact crime as I was charged for. I got 10 years, they got a year and a day. And usually, when you sentence someone in the federal system with a year and a day, that means that you will spend 10 months. If they sentence you to a year, that means you will spend the entire 12 months. So they have a year and a day. Some had
Hmm.
2 years, and you know, and also not only did they when some went to trial, just as I did, and still came back with a lesser sentence. So I think that yes, that plays a big part. But to answer your question, Sharice, I think that with all that is going on right now with just bringing the awareness around mass incarceration, around the way black and brown people been sentenced, around the crack and cocaine law. All of these things are in place right now, and I think that a lot of there you have a lot of organization that is working right now to make these changes, and you have judges that are coming on board as well as some prosecutors are coming on board and says, well, you know what, this just was not fair, or this the sentence was not fair, and let's look into that. So we're not where we need to be, but we are getting there. And so definitely and you have these young prosecutors also are very cocky, and they just arbitrarily just charge people just for things like that, things
Trying to
that you
prove a
would
point.
normally know that was a crime, and all of a sudden you say, well, what? I did what? And you didn't even know that it was a crime. So yeah, I think that it's slow, but it's coming.
So, so basically, in the criminal justice system, we don't see, you know how they say three strikes you're out, or on your job, you make a mistake, you get a warning. Okay, you did this wrong, you get a warning. Second time around, you get written up. Third time, fired or stronger penalty, whatever the case may be. Um, does that not exist in the criminal justice system?
Oh, heck no.
Is it just a is it just a situation of, well, you know what, you did this, no matter how trivial or grand, you know, wrong is wrong.
Well, it's in some states they have eliminated the three strike system they have. I think that I'm not quite sure whether New York is one of the state that, but I know that California is one of the state that has revamped that. It's no longer in existence. Um, but that would only be for people that are being sentenced now if they had previous felons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Felonies, I should say. I don't think that applies to people that may be already sentenced under
Correct.
the three strikes. I really don't, because a lot of these things, or a lot of these law that comes out, it's not. It's sad to say that they're not. Most of them are not retroactive. Which it should be, but
Right.
it's not.
Mm.
That's a very good point. I want to take a look at another one of the causes of what I think is crime that we kind of skirted around, but it's very real, and that's the issue of just poor housing.
Hmm.
Mm.
Because when you're in, I remember in Chicago there was a place called Cabrini Green, And basically, it was a series of projects that was surrounded by fencing, and I think it was Daly. Yeah, I think it was Mayor Daly who was there then. And what he says is the reason we built that was so that we can corral all of them, and when we needed to arrest them, we knew where to go. Housing is a very, it's an important issue because that's where a lot of these kids are learning some of the rules of the street. You got some streetwise criminals who are looking at the younger kids because they know that, well, if I get this young kid, he's not going to have a stiff sentence. So and they are learning all of these criminal behaviors from people that don't really care for them. But my concern is that they're learning it from people that look just like them.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what, Vincent? I think not quite sure who's the author that spoke about the way how the architectural designs of houses in the Black and Brown community, how they are actually designed in comparison to a neighborhood where it's a very affluent neighborhood. The houses
Mm-hmm.
in the Black and Brown community is almost set up in a way almost to mimic a prison.
A prison. Yeah,
A prison
I've
is
heard that
basically
before.
that, and the way the windows are, that the small, the size of the rooms are so very small, the hallways are very congested, just everything is just
The
structured
colors.
more so. And why do they do that? Because I think that here's the thing, we want to believe that slavery does is still is it doesn't exist, but we're still in that stage. People don't want to even think that in the 2021 we have slavery, but we really do. Even when you think about the way folks are being paid, the wage pay in prison, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's slave wages. You're paying someone 12 cents an hour. And why is it? Because when you look at how African American or even our Latino are being paid, in comparison with someone that may be Caucasian. The salary scale is so much different, and it's always a way to keep us at a level, right? It's never a level that we can ever feel like we are equal. It's almost to diminish us and to let us know that there's this is your place, and this is my place, and you will never get to my level. And that's how and it's a sad situation, because I never saw it that way before until I was incarcerated, because I never had to deal with prejudice,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so prominent in the court system. And when it happened to me, I was in awe, but I was so hurt, and also very shocked, because I just didn't know how to handle it, because I've never experienced that before. So when it was directed towards me, especially at my sentence, I was like, wow, this is real, this is really really real. And this is something that my grandparents or their parents had to deal with, and here I am, and I'm dealing with it now.
Yeah, I think part of, sadly, part of our upbringing is the implementation of the subliminal messages of you will not amount to any more than. And then we're, kind of shown what we shouldn't be more than. You know,
Hmm.
um, do we have more images of more affluent African Americans nowadays? Yes, but I also tend to think that kind of gets coupled with, you won't really find many images of two very affluent African Americans. It's an African American and a really light skinned partner. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? To and sometimes I feel like, well, does is that saying that we are incapable of, living a certain lifestyle, educating ourselves, and being able to think on a certain level, being able to start businesses and be you yourself, be um
Successful.
yes, be successful and everything. And I believe part of the problem is that our kids are taught without it even being said that they will never be nothing more than, I mean, it's funny. I grew up in the projects, and I think I've done very well for myself. I graduated high school, went on to college, did that, got my nursing degree, and the rest is history, and I've been very successful at what I do. I'm very good at what I do, and able to thrive well in both worlds, you know and I'm sure there's a lot of people such as yourself, such as Vincent Ford, such there are a lot of people who can do that. you know the concept of we're not supposed to is what bothers me.
Well, let me push back on that because here's what irritates me. Not supposed to. Unfortunately, a lot of these kids learn that they can't be and do from their parents.
Absolutely.
And that is criminal as far as I'm concerned. We have parents that are telling their kids, "Oh, you're stupid. You can't do this. Oh, you want the country is all against you. You're not going to be anything. So why don't you just do?" You know, we have to get out of our own way sometimes.
True.
You know, I too grew up in the projects.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, but I made it out. You know, went to an HBCU. Well, let me rephrase that. I went to Howard University. Yes,
Ain't
I'm a.
you?
You know, I am a proud graduate.
All right.
But sometimes what I wish is that a lot of the Caucasian people that hire can go to the graduation ceremonies at some of these HBCUs and see all the MDs, the PhDs, the DDS that are graduating in great numbers. And for them to say, "Oh, we can't find somebody to do this job."
Mm.
There are plenty of us out there. You just have to
Absolutely.
go there and look. But, yeah, that's my soapbox.
Yes, but and again, you know what? It's not that they can't find anyone that's qualified to do the job, Vincent.
They don't look.
It depends on what their idea of qualification looks like.
Good point.
This is true. This is absolutely true.
Yes.
You know,
Hmm.
um, and it's so funny because the term that gets thrown around a lot is it's just a matter of a conversation. And I really do honestly believe if people would just sit and have a conversation, you know, take the color away, take the nationality away, because it's not just us black and brown people. I'm sure Asians encounter it. I'm pretty sure Hispanics are encountering anybody who was not born in the United States. Okay, is encountering, you know what I'm saying, this issue, and I'm not saying as bad. I'm not talking about on the level they encounter it. I'm just saying in general, you know, if they weren't born here, they may be encountering it.
Yeah, they may be, yeah, so, form of polarizing in some form, in some way. Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
But I also tend to think I agree with Mr. Ford when he says that we sort of stand in our own way, you know, and I do agree that the amount of negativity that comes out of our communities far surpasses that's coming out of a Hispanic household, where they're pretty much looking out for their community. You know what I'm saying? Indians look out for their community.
Very much so.
Pakistani look out for their communities. You understand what I'm saying? The Jewish look out for their communities. It's like I'm not understanding why it is that we have not yet realized that we actually really can control our own destinies.
Crabs in a barrel.
Crabs in a barrel, yes, and it's all about, it's a generational thing. It's just a generational thing. And I would say it's a generational trauma,
Mm-hmm.
that's passed down from one generation to the next, like what is this, a mournful message in a bottle. And I think that a lot of parents do stand in the way of their children being successful. Why? I I can only say that's from who a few people that I've spoken to, and they were like, because I didn't want them to be hurt. I didn't want them to be disappointed. Um, and here's the thing. I believe that the school system also plays a big part as well, because I think that the school if the school would even inform someone who may be struggling, right, and maybe from a community that is underserved, and they encourage the child and said, well, you know what, you can go to college, you have good grades, right, or would you like to go to college? And the child may says, no, I'm not going to go to college, and dig a little bit deeper. Well, why are you not going to college? And oh, well, my mom says she doesn't have the money to
Mm-hmm.
pay for my tuition.
Mm-hmm.
Well, open up that conversation and says, well, your mom doesn't have to pay. You
Right.
can get financial
Financial
assistance,
aid. Yes.
but the teachers, you have a lot of teachers who it's only about going to school and teaching the curriculum, and that's it.
And
That's
also
it.
too a matter of it's a matter of where they steer them. And I'll take my daughter specifically when she was in senior year, and we sat with her guidance counselor, and she told her guidance counselor, she wanted to go to a 4-year university. What was happening was that a lot of the minority kids were being steered to go to a 2-year
Right.
community college as
Hmm.
opposed to a 4-year university. And we were like, well, we don't want to do 4-year university. And then when she expressed an interest in going to Howard University, she was told that that wasn't a real college. It They don't do well.
Mm.
Wow.
That they don't do well. Going to an HBCU is just, it's just there to look like you're doing something, but they don't do well. People who go to HBCUs, and that she should go to this 2-year Northampton. She should go to Northampton for 2 years, prepare herself, okay, to go to a 4-year college, and then after 2 years at Northampton, then she'll be ready to transfer. Mind you, she graduated with honors and in the top fifth of her class.
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly what I was trying to say. You do have this school system does play a big part in that as well. And sometimes kids very vulnerable. And they listen to what some listen to what their teacher says. Some admire their teachers, and if their teacher says, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, and their parents, well, you can't do this, you can't do that,
And
then
then they're friends.
that's it. It just you know becomes embedded in them, and they think that, okay, well, I just can't do this. So again, it's not only does the school, the parents, the community, they all play just a big part in the upbringing of your children. And that's why I just believe that as parents we need to take center stage in our children's lives, and make sure that we become their driving force, their biggest encourager, and to just let them know that, listen, I'm there, I'm soldiering you on. You can do whatever you want to do, and I've always done that for my children. I've always encouraged them and tell them, there's nothing that you cannot do. You can do whatever you want to do. You can do whatever you want to do. And I see how that plays out in their life, because now they are, they became very confident,
Mm-hmm.
in who they are, and they don't believe that there's nothing that they can't do, and I do the same with my grandson as well. And so it's just a mind thing, and it's the same thing with prison also. You have these officers that try to dehumanize you, to make you believe that you're nothing, you're no
Yes.
good and everything like that. But again, it's you, it's you, it's all in you. It's all in you, and who are you going to believe? You're going to believe yourself, or you're going to believe someone that you don't even know, someone that's in a system that's set up to just to make you feel like you are nothing. Whose truth are you going to believe? You believe your own, and that's it. And that's why I've always had these issues with these officers while even doing my incarceration. You're not going to call me outside of my name. You're not going to call me an inmate. You're not going to assign a number to my name. My name is Clover Perez, and that's what you're going to call me. And it didn't matter what would have happened to me at that time. I just stood firm, and I continued to stand firm, to let them know that you're not going to deal with me anyway. I'm in here because I committed a crime. I'm here to do my time, but I'm not in here for you to treat like garbage.
Right.
You're not going to. And I think that they felt like, well, you know what, she's so bold. She
Mm-hmm.
must have some type of contact outside. And I said, yes, I do. My family that cares about me, that cares about me. I'm not anyone that just comes in here that do not have a support system. And it's a sad situation, because I believe that these staff members or people in prison that works there, they become so desensitized that it's just they have no feelings or no remorse at all towards someone, that it could be their mother, someone could be their daughter, someone could be even their sister or even brothers. So it's a sad situation.
Here's the other part to that, Clover, which I think you really touched on. Not only do they try to dehumanize you, but you had a support system. Think about the hundreds of thousands of people that are incarcerated who don't have that level of support. And when they
Yes,
don't have that support system, then they start to believe that they are
Mm-hmm.
less than. And they learn other criminal behavior while they are there, because they figure, well, this is what they called me, so I must be that. And that's
absolutely.
unfortunate.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, that's
Yeah.
where we have to. I think you're right on target. If as little as the correction officers, they have to be trained, as you said. You're not just a number. You are an individual that has a certain level of pride in myself. Yeah, did I do something wrong? Okay, I'm here to do my time, but you're not going to dehumanize me. And
Yeah.
a lot, and I listen to other people tell me this, they have just been dehumanized, and that is criminal as far as I'm
Yes.
concerned.
Absolutely. And it
So,
carries over, it carries over. It also becomes almost like almost like brainwash.
Yes.
You brainwash that person. You starting to believe, because you pounded it on them every day. This is who you are. This is who you are. And you start to believe it. How many people that become so institutionalized, not because they want to be, but it's because of just the treatment that they receive there. So once they are released, they can't function on the outside. So what they
mm-hmm.
do, they commit another crime to go back inside. I even came across people that actually commit crime just to come back into prison. Why? Because they can have 3 meals a day, and they can have a roof over their head, because when they were home, they was homeless. That's sad.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why I was saying I. That's why I was asking the question, like, is society dropping the ball? Because if once you've done your time, you're coming out, and now you're supposed to be going through rehabilitation to be a quote unquote productive
Hmm.
citizen, and stuff. Shouldn't that come along with some sort of, counseling or social services? I mean, should people not be hooked up with um, services for them to be able to become stable again?
Well, here's the thing. Yes, they should be, there should, and they're not, and that's just the reality of it. Productive. The word productive citizen, they throw it around, but
Hmm.
guess what? If they're looking at me, I'm gonna use me, okay, to be a productive citizen because I commit a crime, right? Well, this is what I say to them. Well, guess what? You know what? I'm not the only one that's not a productive citizen because I think that everyone in this country have committed some form of crime, have not been caught. So I guess they're not productive citizens as
This is
well.
true. This is true.
Well
And
said.
also I think being a productive citizen is not just, helping to rehabilitate the ones that are coming home and being released, but being a productive citizen also means help those that are not in there yet stay out of it. How about the preventive measures so that they never go in?
Correct.
Offer the
Hmm.
services that are needed so that people are not hungry so they don't have to steal. Offer the mental services for those that might have mental health issues that are not on medication because they can't afford it, to get those things so that they are not acting outside of themselves.
Right.
Yes.
Those
Well,
that are homeless so that they're not breaking laws just trying to stay warm and off the street. Help them find housing that's affordable. You know,
but you know what? And they don't. They really,
yeah.
and that's why, someone said to me the other day, I was having a conversation, and I was saying that, it's all about, we're trying to cut down recidivism. And he says, you know what? He's like, they throw around that word, but it's not really recidivism, it's recycling. They're recycling these people back into
Hmm.
prison. And it's so true because that's exactly what they are. They make it so very difficult for someone that come home and from employment to getting life insurance. That's another topic that's a
Mm.
very interesting topic also,
Mm.
for people that are have a felony and that cannot get life insurance. So you have all these barriers, and you want someone to be able to be productive, so-called productive, okay? But how can you be productive? And again, it depends on what's their definition of productive, because how could you be productive if you're having all these barriers, right? You can't get this job because they're going to do a background check on you and they're going to find that you committed a crime. And yet still they want you to tell the person that you have committed a crime, and then the company is not going to hire you because they don't want you because you committed a crime. You can't get public assistance because you committed a crime. You can't vote because you committed a crime. You can't get all these different services because you committed a crime. You can't go to school and get financial aid because you committed a crime. All it's just a myriad of different things. So guess what? The you coming out of prison, the incarceration has not stopped. It's just now you're
That's
being
true.
incarcerated on the outside. That's it. Simple.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how do we change it? What do we do?
Well, it's the people that, and we have to now be more diligent. We have to choose, okay, who goes into office. Who we are voting for.
That's
That's
These
right.
are
correct.
all these things that we need to do. And for the ones, right, that can vote, and thank God that my voting right was not revoked. But even if it was, New York now has opened up that you can vote. New York now has do not check the box. You remove that box, whether you have a felony, from a job application. So they're easing up, but there's still, for me, I can't, if I didn't I had my life insurance before I went in. I can't apply for new life insurance right now because I won't be able to get it. So again, it's these people that we vote for in office. We have to see exactly what it is that they stand for. Research them. Don't just go and just vote because, oh, my friend is voting for this person, so I'm going to go vote for them. No,
Or they're
because
blue,
here's the
red, or
thing.
white.
Huh?
I said, or they're blue, red, or white.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's remember, you are a citizen, right? In this country, not a half a citizen, you are a citizen. And trust me that at some point, your vote and who you vote for is going to play a part in your life sometimes. It may not be incarceration, but it may be some other things that you strongly believe, whether it may be medical insurance,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be. So it's up
Mm-hmm.
to you to just make sure that you do the right thing and vote for people that you know that want, that believe in second chances and that want to see changes in this country.
There you go. So it comes
Yes.
down to the issue of voting again.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well,
Well, I have to
I
go because
know,
I
I
have
know.
like,
absolutely,
yes.
absolutely. Clover,
Thank
we
you
want to
so much.
thank you again for joining us in the cafe tonight. Your insights have been, I hope, helpful to someone else as they have been helpful to us, and understanding where the ball has been dropped and what we can start to do to get a seat at the table to, put the piece back into the puzzle. Everyone else, thank you for joining us tonight in the cafe. We love y'all. We hope to see you here next week, God willing. Take care.
All
Good
Vote.
right.
night.
Thank you so much. And I'll leave you with this, Sharice
Uh-huh.
and Vincent. If they don't want you to have a seat at the table, bring your own table, girl.
That's right. Bring your own table.